11 o'clock. Anna Brazil is back in alongside Mike Parry, who's in the studio now. Morning, Mike.
Yes,
Hi, Michael.
Good morning, everybody. And Tony, you and I were watching Everton this time last week.
No, you were watching Everton.
How was that?
I was watching Millwall.
Well, funny enough, but Millwall were on the same pitch as Everton.
Were they, Mike?
Well, they were, but unfortunately, I wish they hadn't been. If
In
you see what I
body
mean.
rather than spirit.
Because it didn't work out that way. However, Huddersfield are the patsy team now, the Premier League. If you've got a problem, go to Huddersfield and you get a result. We beat them 1-0, obviously, and anybody who wants to rescue a blip in their season goes to Huddersfield, because that's how bad Huddersfield are, I'm afraid. But anyway, the point of the story is, live on talkSPORT today, Everton Wolves. So we've got Everton in the focal point of everybody's imagination who listen to talkSPORT once again. And I have to say, Tony, I don't really feel that confident about Everton and Wolves, because Wolves show a spirit and understanding amongst their players, which Everton is still struggling to find.
Yeah, Mike, you're 7th and 8th in the table.
Yeah.
And you could leapfrog Wolves today, couldn't you, if you beat them?
Hope we do.
But there does feel a gulf, and a direction at Wolverhampton Wanderers has been pretty incredible. The two Jota and Jimenez have been sensational for Wolves in recent weeks.
That's right,
and you've struggled offensively, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't understand that, because you were talking about Yerry Mina before. Crikey, what a player he was during the World Cup. We thought we'd got an absolute diamond there. We also thought 2 years ago when we signed Michael Keane, we were signing England's new centre-half, John Stones reborn. And Zuma, the boy, comes from Chelsea. I mean, that was going to be another Lukaku for us. Borrow a man from Chelsea, turn him into a superstar, and then buy him on the cheap.
There are fake diamonds out there, Mike.
There are some fake diamonds out there. Anyway, look, we'll have to see how that works out, because the early game, Spurs and Newcastle, talking to Gary Mabbott, legendary Spurs hero, about that game. Newcastle reinvigorated by their sign and all that, but I don't know where I'll get them if Rafa decides to leave at the end of the season. And I've got a very interesting story to tell you all about Mr. Brazil today, because I've actually put him onto a doctor that can fit shock absorbers onto his knees, okay? Because Al has a bit of a problem with his knees these days. What are you laughing at, Tony? Sorry.
He could probably lose a couple of stone, and that would help.
I think that's very cruel,
No,
Georgie, to try and infer that Mr. Brazil's bodily shape is anything to do with the fact that his knees are completely knackered.
No,
it is to do with the fact that he was a very active skier at one time, okay? Wow. He used to run marathons. He has a history of walking across the wilds of Essex and Sussex with his dogs, and that's all got to his knees. I found him somebody and given shock absorbers, and having read this week that Andy Murray now has a metal hip, what is to stop any footballer suddenly acquiring some kind of false attachment to their body like the $6 million man? If a footballer gets a dodgy ankle in future, why not give them a metal ankle? Why not give them metal knees? It can be done now.
I'm sure.
But should it be allowed?
I'm sure it be allowed. Probably in the minds of surgeons in the next sort of 20, 30 years, Mike. I don't think it's actually going to happen in the next 5 or 10, do you?
Well, it could well happen. It could well happen. Science is moving on. I'm still waiting for the surgeon I spoke to in Sheffield 10 years ago to find me a false heart. I want a false heart. I want a metal heart, an aluminium heart that pumps like a real heart. Only 1/3 of my heart works. It could restore me to full fitness. Imagine that. Right, all that and much, much more with me and Mr. Brazil from 11 o'clock here on talkSPORT. Join us, please, for the warm-up.
3 in a row on the weekend sports breakfast with the Sun Football. Go to the Sun Football online for the latest results, news and gossip. The Sun Football. We live it.
Right, are we done? Let's go and have a look at 3 headlines featured on the Sun website today. Jadon Sancho, according to Sans the Man, is the headline. Manchester United want Jadon Sancho transfer and can afford a £90 million asking price. 90 million!
Again, this price tags of young players is extraordinary, Georgie. I mean, everyone knows Sancho's a talented lad with unbelievable pace. He can change a game in a minute. But the price tag is all to do with his age. And it's all on potential. Potential is huge now in the game, which is astonishing. Years ago, you used to have to, earn the right to get good contracts. And now it's being handed out to players with very little experience. But that's the way football is today.
Can I ask? I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but is it not a bit original to go after a former Man City player? Like, can't Manchester United find their own talent? Or it just seems a little bit like it gives me the impression they're prepared to pay whatever it is to take back a Man City player and make a make a point, maybe.
Well, I don't.
Or maybe that's just
no.
fun.
I think first of all they've got to rate him. If they think highly of him, that highly of him, they'll go ever.
Have City got a buyback? Do we know? I would imagine
I have
not.
no idea.
I've never seen
I have
anything
no
on
idea.
the buyback
But he's a player that would create interest. That's for sure.
Not coming back. Chelsea's on loan midfielder, according to the Sun today. Bakayoko reveals that he wants to stay at Milan. He did not have a good Premier League season, debut Premier League season for I think they were then the Premier League champs, actually, weren't they, when he joined?
Were,
listen, I'm very happy if he's happy, but I think ultimately Chelsea probably still hold his registration.
Yeah, they do. One thing, look, Bakayoko at Monaco was a really good player, and he looked in a different physical condition, Georgie. When he came to Chelsea, he'd been injured that summer, and they spent a lot of money on him, and you could quite clearly see he wasn't right, and he was playing, and he wasn't playing well. And he'd suffered with his injuries. Now, I'm not going to say that he's got any future at Chelsea at the moment, because he hasn't.
No, I agree.
But I'd like to think that the player that I saw at Monaco, and, could boss midfields at times, he hasn't really shown in recent years. Hopefully he can find his way back in the AC Milan.
Here's one that tickles me from transfer deadline day, except I can't pronounce the name of the club. Turkish club Elagspor made 22 signings in under 22 hours on transfer deadline day. If that isn't scattergun buying, I don't know what is.
Wow.
Do
we know how much
possible,
they
is
spent?
It? You can't get that many medicals and contracts through in that time.
Well, they have. I have no idea what they spent on money. Did they spend anything? Were they free transfers?
Well, they were under a transfer ban apparently, and they managed to negotiate the end of their transfer ban, and then just basically bought a load of players because they haven't been able to.
Okay.
So that's the kind of background on it, but nonetheless,
still a lot.
That's bonkers. So some poor club doctor who literally kind of collapsed at 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. I can't do any more. Don't make me. Amazing. Anyway, those are 3 stories from the Sun website. To find all the latest football news, search the Sun Football Online now.
3 in a row on the weekend sports breakfast with the Sun Football. Pick up your copy of the Sun for the latest results, news and gossip. The Sun Football. We live it.
So before a blocked nose ruins your day, let Vicks Sinex Soother help unblock your nose and soothe your sinuses. Vicks. We start with solutions, not problems.